Hi, so it's finally happening. This little dongle, the Steinberg e-licenser, which we've used for many years to store our licenses for Steinberg and other software, will soon be a thing of the past because the related licensing service is closing down. Now, I've made a video about this in April last year already, but two important things have changed since that time. So let's have another look and let's go. Now, on my earlier video about the Steinberg e-licenser, I got many comments, it got many views. So apparently you were all very interested in knowing about what's happening with this old Steinberg e-licensing system, which is of course understandably very important if you are still using software which has its licensing on this little dongle over here. Well, there were two major changes that Steinberg announced recently, and the first one is the exact date of when the old licensing system is closing down, and this will be May 20th, 2025. Now, I'm not going to repeat again all the same details that I talked about in that earlier video, because all of that is still true. But let's have a quick look at what the impact is of the licensing service closing down on May 20th, 2025. This is their website. And as you can see, this website has now been changed to announce that the e-licenser service closes down. And they can do that now because between 2022 and 2023, the e-licenser system was gradually superseded by the new ID-based Steinberg licensing system, and this system is fully implemented in the entire current range of Steinberg software, providing benefits not available via the outdated technology. And I've been using that new licensing system ever since Cubase 12, and it's really working great for me. But of course, if you are still using Steinberg software which relies on the e-licenser, you may have some questions which they all answer in this article actually. So I'll provide a link to this in the description. But if you are still using these old licenses, then you have to be aware that there are several important implications of the licensing service closing down. And the most important one is the fact that you won't be able to move a license from one USB e-licenser to another. So if you still maybe want to put all of your licenses on the same dongle because they're now spread over several dongles, you have to do this before the licensing service closes down, because after that it will no longer be possible. Now, another important thing to know is of course that while you still have your dongle and while it still works, you will still be able to use the software which has the licenses on that e-licenser as long as it's still working. However, if that e-licenser breaks down or you lose it, for example, you will no longer be able to move the licenses to another e-licenser because the licensing service will be down. Let's see what the website says about that. What happens if my USB e-licenser gets broken or is lost after the e-licenser service is shut down? Please contact support for an individual solution. Please note that we can only offer a solution for e-licensers registered in my Steinberg. So in case you get into that situation in the future, this states that they may sort of be able to help you, but technically they will not be able to move your license to another e-licenser. So I'm not exactly sure what they intend to do over here, but it also clearly states that you need to have your e-licensers registered in your My Steinberg account so that they can help you at all. Now, all of this is still the same as I mentioned in my earlier video, in which I go into much more detail about this. And apart from the exact date being announced now for the end of the e-licensing service, the second big change that they announced now is related to the fact that people felt pressured to upgrade their applications to the new licensing system, possibly at a fee, before this particular end date. Because at that time it was announced that you needed to do that before the e-licensing system was shut down. Now, fortunately, there has been an important update to that. Let's have a look. Over here they say you will still be able to update your e-licenser based product to the latest version. However, it is essential that the e-licenser based product is registered in your My Steinberg account. And down here, which is also updated, will I still be able to upgrade my e-licenser based product to Steinberg licensing after the end of the e-licenser service? It is now stated yes, you will still be able to update or upgrade from an e-licenser based version of your product to the latest version using Steinberg licensing. For example, you can update from Cubase Pro 7 to Cubase Pro 14. However, it is essential that the e-licenser based product is registered in your My Steinberg account. What they are saying here, for example, if you are still using Cubase 11 with the old e-licenser and that works fine for you and you don't want to upgrade yet, you can stay on Cubase 11 even after May 2025. And if a few years down the road you want to upgrade, then it is still possible to do that. So for example, you may want to upgrade to, I don't know, Cubase 14 or maybe 15 in that case. You will still be able to upgrade from Cubase 11 to the newest Cubase version, not paying full price, even though the system for managing your old licenses has been shut down already. And that's again confirmed in a forum post by Ed Doll over here. So you will still be able to update or upgrade your e-licenser based product even after the e-licenser service has ended, as long as the e-licenser is registered in your My Steinberg account. And there's a second statement here, e-licensers can still be registered after May 20, 2025 as well. So even if you have an old e-licenser which is not registered in My Steinberg yet, for example for an older Cubase version, Cubase 11, you can still register that old e-licenser with its Cubase 11 license on there next year in 2026, for example. And in that moment, you will also be able to pay the upgrade price from Cubase 11 to the latest Cubase version. And you will not have to buy the latest Cubase version from scratch. They provide a little background for this. When we first shared this information, we were unable to find a solution for validating updates from e-licenser-based products to Steinberg licensing-based products. However, we have since resolved this issue and the page has been updated accordingly to keep you informed and ensure your convenience. I think that's great news for all of you that still want to keep using your older e-licenser-based software version of Steinberg, but still want to have the opportunity to upgrade in the future. Or maybe if you still have an old e-licenser lying around somewhere but you can't find it, you do not necessarily have to register it before the e-licensing service is closing down, because you can also do it later. However, there are a few recommendations if you're planning to keep using your old e-licensing based software. But before I go into that, if you like this video or find it useful at all, please give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell icon if you want to get notified when I publish another video. For even more support, you can use the super thanks button below the video. I think it's in that little 3-dot menu and it's sort of a virtual tip jar. Or if you're planning to buy anything at one of these stores anyway, if you do so after clicking one of my affiliate links in the description of this video, I will get a small commission on your purchase without any additional cost to you, which is highly appreciated. But let's get back to the recommendations if you plan to keep using Steinberg e-licensing based software after May 2025. Now, one thing which is important if you are using the so-called soft e-licensers, because soft e-licenses are using the same licensing system that is shutting down, but the license is linked to your machine instead of being on the USB dongle. And in case you once activated your license as a soft e-licenser, and maybe you updated your machine or you reinstalled your OS or something like that, if you still want to keep using that license, you need to reactivate it before the licensing service closes down, because after that it will no longer be possible. And related to that, if you want to do any other kind of moving of licenses from one machine to another machine, for example, or from one USB e-licenser to another USB e-licenser, all of that has to be done before the end of service, because that will no longer be possible after May 20th, 2025. Now, in relation to soft e-licenses, it might make sense to move them over to a USB e-licenser anyway, and that USB e-licenser is probably more likely to outlive your system, your hard disk, and your operating system installation on your current DAW. So it makes sense to move over those soft e-licenses to a USB e-licenser. Now, and another important thing is, of course, to make sure you register your e-licensers in your My Steinberg account, so that in case of trouble they can still help you out, or in the future you can still update from a software version that uses the e-licensing system to a software version that uses the new Steinberg licensing system without having to pay full price. Now, if you're wondering how to check whether you are still using software using the old licensing system, or what you need to do to upgrade your system from the old licensing system to the new licensing system, which can sometimes be free of charge, then I would suggest that you have a look at my earlier video, which discusses all of that in great detail. I will link it over here. Check it out, enjoy, and see you soon.